Good morning, good morning. I hope you are having a positive start to your day. In today's video, I'm going to be talking to you about fat loss mistakes that you should be avoiding in the new year. The reason why I wanted to do this video is basically because I see the same shit happening every single new year, where, right, you've indulged a little bit over the festive period, you've enjoyed yourself, you've put on a few kilo at the least. You're probably feeling sluggish, bloated, lethargic, like a bit of a water buffalo. And you then have this overwhelming sense of motivation going into the new year, and you hit a program or a plan hard. And it either starts like a binge restrict kind of cycle, a yo-yo dieting kind of cycle, or you just fucking hammer yourself into the ground and then completely fall off the wagon, okay? So I'm going to talk to you about sort of mistakes that I see happening every single year, mistakes that you should be avoiding, and then also sort of saying, right, well, this is what you should do instead. So mistake number one is going too hard too soon, all right? If you are someone who has, let's say, a lot of weight to lose, all right, or you are someone who prior to the new year, you weren't tracking your food, you weren't even going to the gym, you were doing a pish poor amount of steps, you weren't doing any cardio, it really makes zero sense for you going from 0 to 100. For you to be going from a plan where you're doing absolutely fuck all, you weren't even paying attention to what you were eating, to then killing yourself with cardio, doing all the steps in the world, being very restrictive with your diet, poverty calories. It doesn't make sense and it's not going to last, okay? So that is a mistake where basically what you need to be doing, is you basically need to be assessing and identifying what you were doing prior to the festive period and just slightly progressing that, okay? So if you weren't even tracking your food before, start tracking your food, all right? If you weren't even going to the gym before, why don't you just start with 2 workouts a week? If you weren't doing any cardio before, why don't you just do a couple sessions a week? If you weren't even tracking your steps before, just try and get somewhere in the region of like 6 to 12,000. That's obviously a very sort of vague ballpark number in there, but that's just wherever it's landing, just try and progress it each week and every single month, okay? So rather than being overwhelmed with this shit heap of motivation that's firing out your arse in the start of January, just have an honest reflection of what your lifestyle was like prior to January, and then think, right, okay, I feel like I can fucking start doing all of this. What I want you to ask yourself actually is, before setting yourself up with a plan in January and getting started with something, I want you to ask yourself the question, do I see myself following this in 6 months' time? If the answer to that is no, then you shouldn't be fucking doing it, okay? Granted, aggressive fat loss phases and diets can work, okay? I think for the average person, it's a bit of a touchy area unless you're actually working with a professional. But if you don't see yourself following the same plan in 6 months' time as your way to set yourself up with, I can guarantee that it's not going to last longer than a month. So yeah, going too hard too soon is a big no-no. Second mistake I see being made is obsessing over scale weight and nothing else. Now, granted, if you put on a few kilo over the festive period, you'll want to see that number coming down. Okay, it's very important to remember that like water moves fast and fat moves slow. So what I mean by that is the rate that you can gain and lose water weight is fucking quick, especially in a 24-hour to 72-hour period. The rate that you can gain and lose body fat is very, very slow, all right? So if you are enjoying the likes of Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, Boxing Day, and then you weigh 5 kilos heavier after that, the amount of fat that you have gained from that number is very, very minimal. The amount of water, glycogen, carbs, food volume that you've gained from that number is about 99.9% of it all, okay? But because water moves fast and fat moves slow, okay, because you've gained it as quickly, you're going to lose it as quickly. Okay, so just, if you were doing something prior to the festive period, just continue doing that and it will come off, okay? But in terms of obsessing over the scale weight, there's more to looking after yourself, your physique, your nutrition, your health, your fitness. There's more to this shit than just what you weigh, all right? And I have worked with, I don't know how many clients where at the beginning, there is that fixation on the scale weight, but once they start experiencing the other benefits of improved energy, improved motivation, improved resiliency, improved confidence, improved digestion, improved sleep, stronger, fitter, healthier, happier, the fucking list is endless. Once they start experiencing all that shit that actually matters more than that number on the scale weight, they're significantly happier and more adherent to the process. Okay, your scale weight is going to fluctuate, and there are going to be times where you have nailed it 100% and the number just doesn't go the way that you want it to. Such is life, okay? Suck it up. But in those circumstances, what I want you to do is pay less attention to the scale weight number and more attention to the other shit that actually matters more. All the things that actually contribute towards your quality of life, okay? If the scale weight number is the only reason why you're doing all of this, you're not going to be able to stick to it, okay? But if reminding yourself of how happier it's making you as a whole, because of all the other benefits, you're going to be able to be more consistent. And the third mistake that I see being made is using exercise as a punishment, especially in the festive period. Look, you are not a fucking hamster on a wheel or a performing animal, okay? Granted, you're going to get into the new year and you're probably going to feel, as I said, a little bit crap just because digestion is not the best. You're holding a lot of food volume, and yeah, even if you've been more indulgent than you first intended and you've been a lazy sack of shit, you know, that week between Christmas and New Year, it's almost like no man's land where you forget what day it is, you have no concept of time, and you spend majority of that week in your pajamas eating chocolate and probably pissed as well at the same time. It very much is a week where you become scum of the earth, okay? I've been there, everyone else has been there, it is what it is, we can all relate. I do not want you going into the new year thinking, right, I'm going to get into training, exercise, whatever your poison is in terms of output. I don't want you using that as a way of getting off festive weight gain. Granted, it is a tool that you can use to get off the festive weight gain, but that shouldn't be the sole reason, okay? The reason why we train, the reason why we exercise, it's not just to lose weight. It's to get stronger, build muscle, create shape, improve confidence, motivation, cognitive ability, fucking everything else. It's not because, oh, I've been a fat bastard over Christmas, so I'm going to start lifting weights to rectify that. What is the likelihood of you sticking to a consistent exercise regime if that is your mindset? If your mindset is, I need to be doing this because I've behaved like that over December, you're not going to stick to it long term, okay? Whereas, if you get into exercise with the mindset of, I'm doing this because how it's going to make me feel long term, of course you're going to be way more resilient, all right? If you've been overindulgent over the festive period, whoop-de-fucking-do, okay? That weight will come off. It's not permanent, it's only temporary, and a very, 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 very small percentage of that is actual fat gain, okay? So exercise is not a punishment, it's not a punishment, it's an empowerment. I don't know if that is a word, I'm sure it is, but yeah, you don't use exercise as a punishment. And that kind of ties me in nicely to the fourth mistake I see being made, and that is prioritizing cardio over strength training. Ultimately, unless your goal is to become Mo fucking Farah, strength training should always be a priority over cardio, okay? Even if we're looking at a weight loss perspective, like if you do 60 minutes of cardio and 60 minutes of strength training, you're going to burn more calories in the 60 minutes of cardio. However, net average calories throughout the day will be higher because of the metabolic response from weight training. So once you finish the 60 minutes of cardio, your body's done. It's no longer burning calories from that. Whereas throughout the rest of the day and into the next day, your body is like a furnace burning more calories because of the increase in metabolism from that strength training. So prioritizing cardio, like, yeah, if you want to become more cardiovascular fit, if you are going to be running a marathon or some kind of like endurance-based sport where strength training is maybe not as important, then fair enough. If your goal is to become fitter, stronger, I would say generally healthier, because if we're looking at longevity, strength training is more beneficial. Yeah, more confident. I don't know if I said all of that. Look, I would say there's more benefits to strength training than there is to cardio. In an ideal world, you'll be doing a little bit of both, but definitely don't prioritize cardio over strength training. If one should be prioritized over the other, I would always say strength training over cardio, unless your goal, is more cardiovascular based. Fifth mistake I see being made is basically following like a bodybuilder diet from the get-go, okay? As I said before, when you get into the new year, you're probably gonna have like an overwhelming sense of motivation. You're probably gonna have that, yeah, fuck it, let's lock in, let's go kind of attitude. And because you have just come off the back of the festive period where you've been eating like a degenerate, you're probably gonna have that attitude of like, I'm done with all the shit. I just want to be eating clean food, okay? Which I can respect and I can understand. And I do think for the most part, that should be the majority of your diet. But again, it goes back to asking yourself the question, could you stick to this in 6 months' time? And if the answer to that is no, then fucking don't do it. Have a little bit of fun food in there, all right? 80% of your overall calories should come from whole, nutrient dense, single ingredient food, healthy food, let's just say, 20% can come from whatever the fuck you want as long as you're within your calories, okay? I think the average person, an approach of just hitting calories and hitting protein is a very effective way of flexible dieting. Don't worry too much about carbs, don't worry too much about fats. You should be getting about 40 grams of unsaturated fats anyway and about 30 to 40 grams of fiber, but if you're eating plenty of fruit and veg throughout your day and you're including sources of like fatty protein in your diet, you're going to be hitting those numbers anyway just by nailing your calories and your protein. So that should be all good. But yeah, following a diet that's heavily restrictive isn't very interesting or fun and basically cuts out your favorite foods, I would say is a big fucking mistake because again, you're not going to be able to stick to that diet long term. And if you can't stick to, whether it's your training, whether it's your diet, whatever it might be, if you can't stick to it long term, it's not worth doing, really. As much as diets aren't meant to be sustainable, in the sense of you shouldn't be spending your entire year or life dieting, if you're someone who's got a lot of fucking weight to lose and you're coming off the back of living a lifestyle where you've maybe not been eating the best, it should somewhat be sustainable because you've got a long road ahead of you. Okay, so I don't think cutting out your favorite foods and just eating oats, whey protein, fish and a rice cake is going to be a very enjoyable diet long term. It might be, you might be a boring cunt like me and enjoy those kind of foods. More power to you. But yeah, don't get into the new year thinking, right, I've been overindulgent over Christmas. I'm just going to eat bland, boring, plain foods. Enjoy some good shit in there as well, as long as it's within your calories. Sixth mistake that I see being made is program hopping. Okay, now in the day and age of the internet being this massive gift and a curse, it's very, very easy to become overwhelmed, confused, lost in all the noise. So my best bit of advice is worry less about following the most optimal training program or the wankiest of diets that promises quicker fat loss. I would find something that you enjoy doing and just stay consistent with it. Okay, I'm not going to go off on a tangent. I think that is basically the clear message behind that point. Whether it's your training, okay, you might be doing full body, upper lower, push-pull legs, fucking bro split, whatever it might be. Whatever you enjoy doing the most and whatever fits your timetable, your lifestyle, your circumstances, your accessibility, just do it consistently, okay? The more you enjoy it, the more consistent you'll be with it, the more effort you'll put into it, the more results you'll get from it. Same goes for your diet. Okay, if you enjoy keto, crack on. If you enjoy carnivore, crack on. If you enjoy intermittent fasting, carb cycling, or just eating like an adult, whatever works for you and is your preference, as long as it actually works, that's the most important thing, so you can stick to it long term and actually get results. Seventh and most, I would say, common mistake is expecting motivation to last, okay? As I have said a few times now, you're going to get into the new year with motivation firing out your arsehole, okay? It's going to be overwhelming, and I really don't want it to skew or misguide you going into the new year where just not thinking about, only thinking about how you feel right now in this moment, in this period of time, and not thinking about how you're going to feel in 3, 6, 12 months time, okay? As I've said a couple times now, like if you don't see yourself following a plan in 6 months time that you're thinking about starting now, it probably isn't for you. In the sense of like, is it sustainable? Is it realistic? Is it too demanding? Like maybe going into the new year, have you got a little bit more free time? Are you going to be able to commit to more training and restriction, etc. in January than you normally would be? These are things that you've got to think about, like going back to work, having social plans, I don't know, kids being back to school. Well, that would give you more time. Fuck knows. Like circumstances change, and that's just things that you need to consider. And you can't rely solely on motivation. So coming up with a plan right now, as much as you might want to throw the kitchen sink at it, I want you to be first off, I want you to forward think actually, and think about the next 6 months, what you've got going on, what you can commit to over those 6 months, because whatever you can commit to, let's just say in June, that is what you should be committing to now, all right? Motivation can only get you so far. That will start to dip by the time we hit February. And by that point, if you're following a plan that is way too demanding, way too restrictive, and you no longer have motivation to rely on, you're fucked, mate, okay? So having a plan that is realistic, Having a plan is somewhat sustainable if you've got a long road ahead of you. And having a plan that is fucking enjoyable. Okay, follow a training program that you actually enjoy doing. Following a form of dieting that you actually enjoy doing. Don't be overly restrictive in terms of amount of calories or actual food groups. Whatever you are going to start doing in January to lose body fat in 2026, you need to be thinking about, can I follow this in 3, 6, 12 months time? Okay? And again, like that might seem a little bit overwhelming or confusing, but that is really kind of what you need to be doing. If all of that seems overwhelming to you and you've got no fucking idea how to go about it, leave a comment below in this video, in the comment section. Send me a message on Instagram, rosslang.made, and I'd be more than happy to help you out there, give you like a little bit of a roadmap and tips, tricks, a bit of advice for going at it, okay? But yeah, those are the most common mistakes I see being made with fat loss in every single new year. Why you should avoid them, what to be doing instead. If you enjoyed this video, I would appreciate leaving a comment below. Let me know. If there's anything else I can help with, let me know, and I will catch you in the next one.